It's a murder that captured the nation's attention. The CEO of one of the largest health insurers in the U.S. gunned down during a business trip to New York City.
We have a male shot coming over in the north.
First, we begin with breaking news. CBS News has confirmed the CEO of Minnetonka-based UnitedHealthcare has been shot and killed outside a hotel in New York City.
In this half-hour special, the 5-day manhunt that crossed state lines, the impact the killing has made on communities across multiple states, and how a McDonald's employee led investigators to a suspect in the hunt for a CEO killer. Hello, I'm Maria Lizignoli. A man, a father, and a husband killed on the street, targeted by an assassin who'd slipped through New York City and elude police for days. 50-year-old Brian Thompson was a 1997 graduate of the University of Iowa and lived in Minnesota since leaving Iowa. One of his teachers saying Thompson excelled at everything he got involved with.
He was humble, an outstanding student. He was liked by all, which was a testament to why he was probably our class president. He was homecoming king his senior year.
Thompson first joined UnitedHealth Group back in 2004 and previously served as CEO of the company's government program, helping provide coverage to millions of individuals. He was named CEO of UnitedHealthcare, UnitedHealth Group's insurance arm, in 2021. On LinkedIn, colleagues described Thompson as an affable and popular leader, known for keeping a relatively low profile. But his company has faced controversy.
A software hack in February. Protests in July. And layoffs by Optum, its subsidiary, in September. The health insurance company covers more than 49 million people, and they've faced some tough news coverage this year. That July protest in Minnetonka led to 11 arrests as they accused the company of not paying for care.
November 24th, 10 days before the shooting, a young man arrives in New York City just after 10 p.m. on a bus that had started its trip in Atlanta. Police believe he takes a cab to the Hilton Midtown and walks nearby before checking into a hostel with a fake ID. Now, 5 days before the shooting, on November 29th, the man checks out of that hostel and then mysteriously checks back in. Police say he doesn't leave for days, doesn't speak to anyone, including 2 roommates. December 2nd, Brian Thompson arrives in New York from Minnesota, 2 days before he's scheduled to speak at an investors conference, and it's December 4th. Police say that's the gunman on surveillance video around 5 a.m. Eastern, near an affordable housing complex on Manhattan's Upper West Side. He later arrives at the Hilton in Midtown around 5:40 a.m. and begins walking around the area. Just before 6:20, the suspect is seen at a Starbucks near the Hilton Hotel where he paid cash. Sources say this is where investigators later retrieved a water bottle and candy bar wrapper for forensic testing. They believe the suspect left them behind. The suspect then walks back to the hotel and arrives just before 6:40, only minutes before Thompson makes the walk from his hotel across the street to the Hilton.
The CEO of UnitedHealthcare has been shot and killed outside of a hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Police say they believe Brian Thompson was targeted. A spokesperson for UnitedHealthcare says the shooting happened during the company's investor conference. And take a look at these photos we just received from the NYPD. Police say this is the shooter that they're looking for. They say the suspect waited outside of the hotel until Thompson arrived and then approached him from behind and shot him twice.
Thompson's shot at 6:46 a.m. Police say the suspect runs into an alley before riding a bike up to Central Park. He's seen again taking a cab from the Upper West Side to a Port Authority bus station near the George Washington Bridge just 15 minutes later. Moments after, Thompson is pronounced dead at the hospital.
We continue to stay on top of breaking news out of New York City. Police are giving us more information about the murder of the UnitedHealthcare CEO. Again, this happened today. 50-year-old Brian Thompson was shot in the chest outside the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan early this morning. A law enforcement source tells CBS News the CEO of the Minnetonka-based company was killed in a targeted attack and not a random shooting.
The shooter steps onto the sidewalk from behind the car. He ignores numerous other pedestrians, approaches the victim from behind and shoots him in the back. The shooter then walks toward the victim and continues to shoot. It appears that the gun malfunctions as he clears the jam and begins to fire again.
First of all, our deep condolences to the Thompson family. We had the tragedy of Brian Thompson's apparent murder in New York City this morning. Sending our thoughts to the family, thoughts to the UnitedHealthcare family that's out there, and then our state law enforcement and BCA are providing whatever they can do if there's a part to be able to be helpful in that. They've already been contacted. I know they're working with their federal partners. But yeah, tragic situation. And as we hear more information, we'll certainly make sure we get it out. I knew Brian. Tragic. And as I said, some of it's still preliminary on this, but figure out what was behind this and follow through, making sure someone's brought to justice, but just our deepest condolences to the family. Horrible tragedy.
And now the hunt begins. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Maria Lizignoli as we follow the hunt for a killer in the death of a Minnesota CEO. Shock and outrage emerge as news of the murder spreads, but also an overwhelming show of support for the Thompson family as their home in Minnesota is flooded with family and friends.
I just couldn't believe it. I still am processing. I just don't understand this.
From his former colleague, Stephen Parente.
He was everybody's huckleberry. He came through when we needed someone at the most.
New York police launch an all-out manhunt and offer a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. The FBI adds more, $50,000 for information leading to an arrest and conviction. In Minnesota, the shooting forces police to step up patrols around UnitedHealthcare's Twin Cities headquarters as a precaution. It wasn't until the next day, December 5th, when more details about Thompson's company begin surfacing. WCCO News obtained court documents that show the CEO was sued this summer for alleged insider trading. The filing from a firefighter's pension fund says in the months between learning about a Department of Justice's antitrust investigation, Thompson sold over $15 million of his personally held UnitedHealth shares. After that investigation went public, the stock price tanked, erasing nearly $25 billion in shareholder value, the lawsuit says. The company was also sued by families for allegedly using faulty AI to deny elderly patients coverage for extended care. UnitedHealth says it's always put patients over profits. Online, some people point anger at corporations and the people they employ. Security companies say phones begin ringing off the hook after the shooting.
How do you think this essentially will affect executive protection going on?
In all honesty, the phones have been ringing off the hook for the last day and a half.
Kuchera leads the Enhanced Protection Services Division for Allied Universal, the nation's third largest employer, who UnitedHealthcare is a client of. From Target to Hormel and Sun Country to even Ecolab, Minnesota is full of corporations, and many Minnesotans work for one too.
About 5 times, it's more likely that healthcare workers, healthcare executives are going to face some form of target violence as compared to any other industry. That's just a known statistical fact.
New clues begin to emerge, possibly holding motives in the case.
Investigators say the words deny, defend, and depose found on the shell casings at the Thompson murder scene may be a play on the 3 Ds of insurance coined by industry critics, which are deny, defend, and delay. That's also the title of a book by author Jay Feinman that focuses on insurance and justice.
Health insurance is, for better or for worse, different because A, it's so much more personal. B, the rules are different. We talk about people having classes in civics to understand good government and things like that. You really need almost like a separate personal finance class in health insurance just to understand the rules of the road. And it's very frustrating. Images of the shooting also revealing clues to some experts on who the suspect could be.
Just take a look at his stance and how he had the gun pointed out. He knew what he was doing. The gun jams. He's able to deal with the malfunction. So it looks like he's very proficient with how to use a firearm.
Friday, December 6th, 2 days after the shooting. NYPD investigators find a backpack in Central Park they believe belonged to the suspect with a jacket inside. But the murder weapon is gone. Police examine the backpack to see if it belongs to the suspect. At the time, investigators believe the killer has left New York and boarded another Greyhound bus to Atlanta. By now, investigators have more than 200 images of a man they want to question, including one captured inside the lobby of a hostel showing his full face.
There's lots of time left. This is by no means in any way cold, this trail. This is a hot trail.
The head of the UnitedHealth Group releases a new statement saying sadness will hang over the company for a long time.
Whether Brian was a friend or a colleague or a mentor, your boss, or just somebody you happen to know the name of, The circumstances of his death are profoundly shocking and disturbing.
Online anger swells as people unleash a torrent of frustration at the health insurance industry.
This is a billion-dollar company, okay, that denies access to people every single day.
You think that I didn't need anesthesia?
Keep her alive? They just make everything so unclear.
Another insurance giant, Medica, closed its Minnetonka campus out of an abundance of caution and for the workplace safety of employees.
You can feel what you want to about insurance companies, and I'm not a big fan. And there's a lot of people who are suffering because they've not had the support they've needed when their families or they themselves have been sick. I understand that. That is a real feeling, but that'll never justify the commentary that is going on out there about the loss of a human being, the assassination of an individual on the streets of New York. We should all be shocked and outraged by that.
For days, new details become scarce as police slowly share more pictures, hoping for a tip. And then December 9th, it pays off. Welcome back. I'm Maria Lizignoli. 5 days after the death of a Minnesota CEO, a suspect is finally arrested. A man matching the description and surveillance photos is spotted by an employee at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
26-year-old Luigi Mangione is now under arrest. Officials calling him, quote, a strong person of interest. They tell us an employee at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, spotted Mangione eating at the restaurant and called police. He matched the description of the shooter. He also was carrying a weapon consistent with the one used to murder Thompson last Wednesday outside the Midtown Hilton.
Officials ID the suspect as Luigi Mangione and arrest him, first on firearms charges. They say he had a fake New Jersey ID card that matches the one used to check in at the New York City hostel. They find a ghost gun with a suppressor that looks a lot like the murder weapon, and a 3-page handwritten note are also found. Hours later, Mangione is charged with Thompson's murder. Investigators say the most crucial clue? That photo from the hostel where the suspect pulled down his mask.
A mask and a hood and a backpack.
Larry, a regular at this Altoona McDonald's, says he and his friends saw Luigi Mangione sitting in there alone Monday morning.
The one guy said, that looks like the shooter from New York. Well, then we laughed, and I guess he placed his order, and we just went on about our business. But we were kidding about it. They were like, oh, boy, wouldn't that be something?
The Altoona McDonald's hires private security because employees tell police they're worried for their safety. The police themselves receive multiple emails and calls, including death threats since the arrest. CBS News later learns Luigi Mangione is from a prominent family in Maryland that owns country clubs, healthcare facilities, and real estate companies. In 2016, Mangione graduated valedictorian from Gilman School, which is what is regarded as one of the best all-boy private schools in the country. He then went on to graduate from the University of Pennsylvania in 2020 with a bachelor's and master of science in engineering. He also worked at Stanford University in California, where he was a head counselor for a pre-collegiate studies program during the summer of 2019. Sources tell CBS News that back pain is a major factor in his life and appears to be a source of pain and frustration for him.
I do know that he was suffering from a spinal misalignment that had been ongoing for quite some time. I just feel heartbroken, somebody that I loved and cared about, that could have done something so hideous.
The Mangione family releases a statement saying in part, "Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We offer prayers to the family of Brian Thompson, and we ask people to pray for all involved." Pennsylvania State Police believe Mangione had been in the state for several days and that he left New York City immediately after the shooting. They believe he took a Greyhound bus to Philadelphia and spent some time there before going to Pittsburgh and eventually Altoona.
He traveled around the state for several days, presumably since his escape from New York City after the shooting last Wednesday, and has been traveling between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and places in between, which is not a short distance.
Police say it appears Mangione concealed his movements by using a signal blocking bag.
You can put your phone in there so we can't track your phone. It doesn't transmit a signal. It blocks the signal. In essence, it's like if you wrapped your phone in aluminum foil and put it in a bag.
By December 9th, the former prep school valedictorian is sitting in a prison cell fighting extradition to New York.
Completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
We pled not guilty, at least to the charges in Pennsylvania. Like I said, I'm not aware of any actual charges in New York. If you were in the hearing earlier, there was a proceeding where they introduced some documents, which, as I complained about, didn't have enough information for me. So we're looking forward to getting that additional information.
As investigators pour through a mountain of evidence trying to fill in the gaps, more details emerge about a possible motive. CBS News learns a 3-page handwritten note ranted about corporate greed. Mangione writing the U.S. has, quote, the most expensive system in the world, but ranks number 42 in life expectancy. Authorities balk at social media support for the suspect, growing by the day.
This killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's this morning. The real heroes every day in our society are the women and men who put on uniforms like these and go out in our communities to keep us safe. This killer was not a hero.
Even the White House comments on the case following the arrest.
We condemn violence in the strongest term, and so I'm just going to be really careful here and not comment on this case as we do normally. It's not, it's our usual step forward as we talk about these types of situations. Obviously, this is horrific. Violence to combat any sort of corporate greed is unacceptable.
December 11th, police announce the gun found with the suspect matches shell casings found at the murder scene. I'm Maria Lizignoli. Thanks for joining us. A week after the attack, the hunt is over. The mystery is not. When will Mangione return to New York to face murder charges? Did anyone else help in the attack on a city street? And will a family one day get justice in the case of a CEO killer?